On All My Life, we start off with a 2-bar pattern. The kick drum's filling in most of the 8th notes. The hi-hats are half open for a nice trashy sound, and we're punctuating this figure on the upbeat of 3 and 4 with the crashes. So here's what that sounds like slowly. So without the crashes, just that basic feel with the bass drum filling in there, along with 8 notes on the hi-hat, is this. And when we've put those crashes in at the end of the 2nd bar, we also miss the downbeat of the next bar out, which gives it that anticipation there. So here's the intro feel at tempo. Okay, so this snare drum fill that is featured throughout the track gives that anticipation that we have with the crashes, again, because we miss out the downbeat of the next bar. And so that snare drum fill actually starts on the and of beat 3 in the bar before and ends on the and of 4. So here's that bar going into the first verse. So, as I said, we've missed the downbeat of the next bar. So the cymbal crash that comes after that fill isn't on beat 1. It's on the and of beat 1. So just before the backbeat. So 1 and 2. So here it is with the bar that we just played into the first verse, hitting that crash on the and of beat 1. So again, we've got a 2-bar pattern in the verse. We're picking out the same crashes we had on the intro, but this time just doing it on the open hi-hats. So here's the verse. Again, we're going to start on the and of beat 1. The verse lasts for 16 bars, and we end on beat 4 of the 16th bar with a flam on the snare drum. We then get a 2-bar break, which the guitar fills with the rhythm part before we come in. We again play a flam the first time round on beat 4 before the first chorus. The fill's slightly different the second time round. We get this setup off the rack to the floor tom. So here's the fill that would take you into the second chorus. So you could thicken up that floor tom sound with the kick drum if you wanted to. Onto the chorus now. We're up onto the bell of the ride cymbal. It's quite a tricky pattern that doesn't move at the same time as the bass drum. So let me play you at a tempo first so you can hear what I'm talking about. So here it is, just a little slower. So what's actually happening there is the first 2, the bass drum notes on 3 and the end of 3 are played along with the right hand. But then after you've played beat 4, the right hand plays the upbeat of 4 before the downbeat of the next bar, and it plays that on its own. So. So here's that 2-bar pattern with the final flam on beat 4 of the second bar. In the 7th bar of that chorus, which is a 7-bar cycle, which happens twice, it's up to the crash cymbal for the final bar, and that bar will sound like this. So here's the whole of the chorus played slowly. After the chorus, we go back to the intro and we play that all the way through again, verse to chorus. The second time through, we get to the breakdown. And after 8 bars of the guitar riff, the same as the intro, and another 8 bars of vocals, the drums re-enter with the hi-hats playing 8th notes and the bass drum playing the same rhythm as the guitar part, which sounds like this. It's essentially the same as our intro pattern without the snare drum. This is what I mean. After 8 bars of that, we had the snare drum on beat 3, but it's flammed, so you'll have to move your hand off the hi-hat over onto the snare drum. And you can also drop out the bass drum that falls underneath that. So now the pattern becomes this. Where we've got the snare drum on beat 3 there, we have that feel for 16 bars. And that section actually ends on beat 3 of the 16th bar. So here's how that sounds with a bar leading into it. And then it's into a feel that's not dissimilar to the intro, trashy hi-hats, the kick filling in the 8th notes, and that sounds like this. And then the bar before the bass comes in and you hear the bass player move up the octave, we put a crash cymbal over the top of all the bass drum notes. So if the bass drum notes are playing this, we put a crash with those notes. So as we approach the final chorus, we've got this 8-bar section, at which point Dave Grohl is singing the really high, shouty vocal part. In the final bar of that, there's the drum fill into the chorus. So let's take a look at that. I'll play a bar of time before it just to set it up. And here it is slowly. So just with single strokes. From there, it's twice around the chorus, so 2 times the 7 bars, and then we're into the outro, which is basically the same kind of feel as the intro. So here I'm going to play out from after the final chorus to the end of the tune. I'll just play through it slowly at first. So really the main thing to watch out for there are those final 2 crashes, which are the first one you've been playing throughout the song, which is the and of beat 1, and then the next note is beat 2. So it's really important that you catch those final crashes, otherwise all the getting everything else right in the track will be for nothing, because you won't end at the same time as the rest of the band. So here's the final 2 bars just to set up those crashes. So here's that outro section, once more played at tempo. So there you have all the parts that make up the track All My Life.